This is Kaladin here, and I'm going to show you the Sage guide for your first dungeon. So Sage normally starts at level 70, but I thought I would do one of the level 57 dungeons, the Vault, which is one of my favorite dungeons in the game, and I'll kind of just give you a little overview of how you would play as the Sage. So the first thing you always do as a Sage is you want to apply your Cardia buff on the tank. Cardia makes it so that any damage you do will be transferred into a heal for the tank. So it's a very, as a Sage, you always want to be doing damage because that's how you heal. And we do have our AoE damage attack. We have Phlegma, which is this big bomb. It does a lot of damage. And you always want to use Eucrasian Diagnosis on the tank, and that applies a shield. As a shield class, you always want to do things before the fight. So I put Physis for regen. I also put Caracoli, which reduces the damage everybody receives. And then I always make sure there's a Eucrasian Diagnosis shield on the tank. And then I need to keep my damage up to keep those heals. Use a Phlegma and Erdosis. We also have Eucrasian Dosis, which is a dot that we can apply on enemies. Use our Discraza AoE attack, and as you can see, while I'm doing damage, that tank's consistently being healed. I'm going to put our Caracoli down to reduce damage, and then use Eucrasian Diagnosis on the tank. And then I'll throw a Drupal on Lyra to heal her, to give a little bit of beat burst healing. We also have this spell up here called Zoe, and Zoe is used to increase our healing spells. It's like a little buff. So I could use Zoe, and then Eucrasia, and Eucrasian Prognosis, and that will do our party-wide heal and shield. And because I use Zoe, it actually shielded us more than it normally would have. So it's a very combo-y class. But I really love playing as a Sage. I have a level 100 Sage. It's what I do in high-level content. I'm very comfortable with it. It's a class I really, really enjoy. So let's get her shield up on the tank. Let's Physis regen everybody. Caracoli to block some of the damage out. Let's get our dots on these enemies. Our damage over time spells. Which the dot, if you think about it, it's almost like a regen on the tank because it's doing damage over time on the enemy, and then because of our Cardia, which converts all your damage into heals, it's doing a heal over time on the tank instead. So it's really cool. Caracoli pretty much on cooldown. And then we're going to want to Eucrasian Prognosis the entire party, get a barrier up on everyone. I've taken a lot of damage, so we're going to use Drupal to bring my health back up. We want to use Phlegma pretty much on cooldown, because it does a lot of damage and also heals us a lot. Let's get a shield on this Pluto. The tank has some debuffs, so let's Asuna. Physis, Drupal, or Caracoli. Let's Zoe, and then Eucrasian Prognosis the entire party. Drupal on the tank. Stosis. There's also another ability I didn't mention earlier called Soteria. And basically what Soteria does is for 4 attacks, it makes your Cardia a lot stronger. So If I needed a little bit more healing on the tank, I could always pop Soteria. So there's a lot of abilities, and they all have Greek names, so they're a little, can be hard to remember, but once you play the Sage, it actually plays, it's not as complicated as something like the Astrologian. The Sage also has Icarus, which is a dash attack, so if you're falling behind, you do actually have that gap closer. I'll show you it right here in a sec. So that one's pretty cool. Let's get Physis, let's get Caracoli, Eucrasia, Eucrasian Diagnosis. And then use Phlegma, Dyscrasia. Maybe use Soteria on the tank. We'll get him up a little bit. Caracoli, Eucrasia, Diagnosis. Let's use Eucrasian Dosis and apply a dot on both of these enemies. Then we'll do Phlegma. And then we're going to use Dosis. And as you can see, even just casting Dosis, how much it keeps the tank's health up. So the more DPS uptime you have as a Sage, the better that you'll do. Just look at this Sage gear, it's awesome. Okay, let's get Physis down for a regen, Caracoli for a damage reduction. Let's pop Zoe, and then Eucrasia, and then Eucrasian Diagnosis on the tank. And look how big that shield was. Holy, that must have been a critical. Let's pop Soteria, get some extra healing, then Phlegma. We'll do another Phlegma. Dyscrasia. Dyscrasia. Let's Asuna this Lyra person. Maybe give her a Drupal. And we'll Dosis. Caracoli. Eucrasia, Eucrasian Diagnosis on the tank. We're going to use Eucrasia, Eucrasian Diagnosis. And we'll Dosis.
I will not yield to you.
Now he's going to go Super Saiyan and do a cool transformation.
I have the power.
I have the power! We're going to have to reapply our dot on him because now he thinks he's somebody else. Physis, Caracoli, Eucrasia, Eucrasian Diagnosis. We're going to need to pop probably... We don't really need Drupal yet, actually. The other attack I have not discussed is Pepsis. Now, Pepsis is very niche. I don't really actually use it. We need to use our... I didn't have my knockback immunity. Pepsis is one that we don't use very often. Basically, you put your shields on everybody, and then before the shields expire, I do Pepsis, and then it does a heal. Okay, Pluto's taking tons of damage, and so is Lyra. So I might actually hard cast Diagnosis. That's how you can direct heal people. Let's Zoe, Eucrasia, and let's Eucrasian Prognosis. And then we gotta avoid all these different attacks. Let's Smegma. Oh my god, I just said Smegma. It's Phlegma. Smegma, that's gross. Okay. And that's a wrap for that boss. Let's do a regular Prognosis, and that'll actually heal everybody. Diagnosis that person. So it seems like there's a lot going on with the Sage, but it really isn't too bad. You do kind of the same rotation of heal spells every fight, so you really do get used to it. Let's Drupal myself. Drupal the tank. Eucrasian Prognosis, because we're all taking damage. And then maybe a Pepsis. We're gonna have to regular Prognosis just to get our party's health back. Doses. I'm gonna save my Caracoli for the next pull. That's Zoe, Eucrasian Diagnosis, give a big shield. Dyscrasia, now let's use Phlegma. Dosis, or Phlegma. The one weird thing is Phlegma is actually a melee ranged spell, so you actually have to move in when you're the Sage. Most healers can do everything from casting range. So once the gargoyles come, I think that's when I'll do the Caracoli. Let's get another shield on our tank. One thing you can do is you can move your Cardia around and then you can actually spot heal certain people. So I could spot heal myself like right there and then put the Cardia back on the tank. It has a 5-second recast time, so you can only do it every 5 seconds, but it is useful if you do want just a little bit of spot healing on somebody else. Just gotta remember to put it back on the tank when you're done. Okay, Physis regen the party, Caracol damage reduction, Eucrasian Diagnosis on the tank. Then we're going to use Eucrasian Dosis to put our dot. We're going to go in and use Phlegma. Ouch. Drupal. Dosis. We got to break the chains or we're going to keep getting damage. I'm going to put another shield on the tank. You want to avoid these chest pieces.
Sickness must be cursed.
Party-wide damage. Let's apply Zoe. Let's do Caracol, and then we'll do Eucrasian Prognosis. And now we need to focus down these targets. Let's Eucrasian Prognosis everybody before the attack goes off. Physis and Caracoli. Yeah, that one's pretty brutal. We'll actually use Ixicol. That's our instant cast heal spell. And I'll Drupal the tank. Eucrasian Diagnosis the tank. Eucrasian Dosis to put our dot back on. And then Phlegma. And there's going to be a lot of overlap. Eucrasian Prognosis, Caracoli. Somebody died, so I'm going to Swift Pass Agiro, and I'm going to raise them. And then once they're raised, I'll use Eucration Prognosis. And then I'll use Ixocle to heal the party up. Eucration Dosis the enemy, and Phlegma. Let's pop Soteria so the tank gets some more. Physis for the regen, and then Caracoli damage reduction, and move fuck out of the way of these. And when you do hit those, you get slowed, which isn't very good, but we just finished the fight. So I know there was a lot going on, but I thought I would show what a bit of a lower dungeon would look like starting out as a sage. So thanks for listening, everybody, and I'm signing off.